So what do we just pick right back in, pick right back up?
Yeah, we're just probably gonna get rolling here, and I appreciate you taking the time, Coach.
Or-
Um, Everybody, this is gonna be AJ Stewart, the new running backs coach at the University of Arizona, coming from Brigham Young University. But kind of just hand it off and let you roll, Coach. All right, man, take it away.
Okay, cool. Can you do me a favor? Let's go like how long do we speak? An hour or 50
Yeah,
minutes, something like that?
an hour, Coach. Yeah, however you
All
want
right.
to do it.
Can you break me? Can you let me know about 15 minutes before the hour? Because
Okay.
I want to be able to do Q&A if possible. And if nobody really has any questions, I can either keep going or we can be done. But I like to answer a lot of questions as a running back coach. So um, I'll dive right into it. I'm good to start, right?
You're good, Coach. Roll away.
All right. So um, I want to really cover a couple things that, to me, I mean, I speak at clinics all the time. I've spoken on 2 virtual clinics up to this point. And whenever I do speak at Glazers and different events, I don't get the opportunity to really cover like philosophy type things as a running backs coach, and not necessarily how I view the position, but more of the day-to-day aspects of coaching that I think is a little bit unique for what I do compared to some other coaches. Not saying it's better, just saying it is probably a little different than guys usually do, in a traditional meeting room setting and things like that. And so I want to cover a couple of those things, and then I'll have some film. When it comes to my film, I have some auxiliary coaching drill work that I want to cover with you guys. So go through some different ball security drills that I like to do, some point of contact drills that I like to do, and then if we have some time at the end, I want to coach up. Show you guys how I coach up pin and pull as well. I've done clinics with inside zone, wide zone, and some different elements, and so these are kind of things that I haven't really touched on for the guys that have seen me speak previously, and so I'll say this too when this is over with. If you just follow me on Twitter or reach out to me via email, I'll send you this whole drill tape that covers everything as far as run game, footwork, all those things. So just reach out to me and I'll get it to you. And especially if I don't hit something today that you kind of had interest in, and so that we'll just jump straight into it. Okay. So my philosophy at this level as a college coach, just so you know, is I use an acronym for RBs. R is recruiting. And when it comes to recruiting, I want to have game-changing talent and program-changing character. Those are the difference makers, I think, in your not just guys that can get some yards for you when they get the ball in their hands, but guys who change your program with the type of character they have. And so it's hard to find both, but when you do, those guys usually make a profound impact and take your program to the next level. So that's the number one thing I'm looking for at this level when I'm going out there. No matter if we get one guy that in that class or 2 guys, I want to try to get somebody who fits the bill. The B is ball security, and it's funny, but I always tell my guys this: if no matter who we're playing, if we just protect the football, we'll always have a chance. We could be playing a team that's on paper it's going to be tough for us to get it done against those guys. Okay, we may still not get it done, but at least we give ourselves a chance to get it done against those type of guys if we protect the football. On the other end, we may look a lot better on paper than the team that we're going against. If we put that ball on the ground, then things are going to get ugly out there, and we might give them a chance to be in a game when they really shouldn't. So that's something I preach daily because I feel like that's a simple deal, but in my opinion, if you just protect the football, you at least give yourself a chance. So that's something I'm gonna harp on daily. And then the S is for standards, and I'll kind of allude to. I'll talk about it a little bit more as we move forward. But standards is just taking pride in the details. I'm a very detail-oriented coach. I give them a specific criteria for what I'm looking for in my expectations, whether it be practice or in a game. And then I just harp on the same coaching points and the same nuggets daily. But you'll see as we continue to move on, I'm huge on the details, and it's sort of like the ball security deal. If we're just where we're supposed to be in the run game, or if we're at the right depth on our spot route, all those little things matter. How you do anything is how you do everything, and those are things that I'm going to preach on a daily basis. as a running backs coach. You go to the next slide here. Okay, so this is where the unique part goes into it. So position meetings. You don't see a lot of clinics that go on about position meetings. A little bit about my background. I went to school for health and PE. So the program that I was in, I had to do student teaching and not just the easy stuff where you just roll the balls out and let these guys go play football and flag football for 50 minutes or things like that. I actually had to teach health classrooms as an undergrad, and it was tough for me. But I learned so many lessons that I didn't even know that were preparing me to be a better coach and a better teacher as a coach. And so these are some things. And I'll say being at BYU, Coach Sataki is huge on our learning environments, the different styles, utilizing different styles of learning, and that really helped me. A lot of the deals that we talked about, at BYU, I kind of already had in my repertoire, but it just really more so than anything, re-emphasize it in my mind that this is the way to go, and this is how you get guys to learn immediately, and not more so of a marathon type learning system. And so it's called engaged learning, and I have this sexy little paragraph right here, but really what engaged learning is you're creating an atmosphere that's social in a meeting room. It's not just one coach sitting there, the coach is sitting there giving all these points. It's interactive, and these guys are bouncing things off of each other as you're kind of more so the mediator as the coach. And so just some examples of that is what I'll do in a meeting, instead of watching Inside Zone, instead of saying, hey Gary, right here on Inside Zone, you should have read that nose guard, and then you should have pressed the heels a little bit more, this and that. I don't coach that way. The example that I like to use, this is probably the most predominant coaching style that I use in meetings, is instead of me, giving him the answers to what I think should have done, I say, hey Gary, talk to me about this run. Tell me what you think. And I want him to verbalize the coaching points, because he'll say the same things, but what it does, in my opinion, just from my perspective of doing this for years now, is to really own and to really be confident in the coaching points. And so we know coaches, some of our coaching points fall on deaf ears at times, but I feel like this is a way to make sure we don't overload them with information, but we want these guys to be confident in the coaching points. And so I like to use that. That's one way. Peer coaching. So in the same scenario, instead of me asking, so Gary just ran the Inside Zone, instead of me saying, hey Gary, what should we have done? Hey Michael, talk to me about this run. What do you think Gary could have done better? I love that style as well. That's another really good way to create an atmosphere that, hey, nobody should be prideful in this room. We're all working towards a goal. And then once again, it's just another way to reinforce double down on that culture of learning, and not just me spitting out all of the information. I want these guys to verbalize it in the meeting room. Random selection. I could just put up a random play, and I could just pick a guy, and just at any time I could say, hey, what's our footwork on Inside Zone? So with all those those things, it keeps these guys engaged as well. From they're not just sitting there leaning back, falling asleep. At any point, they could be called on it. So I think that kind of holds them a little bit accountable, a little bit more accountable from that regard. Then this is a unique deal that I've done. I usually only do it with my older guys that I know are going to be a little bit more confident. It's not going to have diminishing effects. But so the same scenario, say, hey Gary, come up here, take the clicker. I want you to teach us Inside Zone right here. So he goes up, and it's the same thing as him sitting down coaching us up, but it empowers him to another level. It takes his learning to another level, because now he's in a coaching seat. And I think that's just a great way to double down on that. The other thing I love from my perspective as a coach is they kind of laugh, but I'll give him a clicker and I'll go sit in his seat and kind of, be in a role of I became Gary and Gary became the coach. And the thing I like about that is because I want to hear the coaching points that he gives. Usually what happens, and this is why I picked the right guys, but you hear exactly the things that you would like, that you would say if you were holding clicker. And so it tells you as a coach, all right, those things are sticky. All right, that coaching point works. That resonates with that guy. Good. Let's keep doing that. There's other times where they may not say the coaching point, and it makes me reflect. And maybe they don't understand that coaching point, or maybe it's too complicated. I need to switch my verbiage or make it a little more appealing to them. So I like that style. I don't do that as much. Probably the one I do the least out of all of these, but it's just another effective thing, and it just keeps an older guy who's kind of mastered a lot of the base. Every coaching points, you're looking for ways to keep that guy engaged and to reinforce that learning. We never stop learning, and so I like that. And then sometimes I'll just give these guys, I'll pair them up like, hey, you two get together, you two get together, you two get together, and I'll say, hey, I want y'all to draw me up an over front, over stack to trade formation. I'll give you 20 seconds, and so they draw it up, real quick. They hold their boards up, and so usually I try to make it pretty simple, but there may be one group that doesn't get it right. And so instead of me going up on a board and saying, hey, this is an overstack, I'm learning what they know. Then also it boosts their confidence for the guys that got it right. But also it's just helping those guys kind of hold them more accountable. Like, all right, he really put it on my court. I don't know my stuff, so I need to make sure I continue to stay focused because I don't know football the way that I thought I did. So these are all just intricate, simple, really simple ways that they're a little bit unique, like I said, to other coaches. But these are things that I've seen guys, especially at this level, where they just stay engaged in the meetings, and it just doubles down on a culture of learning. I want my guys to always be thirsty for learning. I don't say that to say I overload them with a bunch of coaching points and knowledge. I want them to regurgitate the specific dialogue that we're going to use every single day in our meeting room. And then I always tell them, because some of them, I'll say, hey, Gary, what do you do on inside zone? He's like, I read the nose? And I say, I don't know. I don't get to run inside zone. You run it. You tell me. And he's like, I read the nose. And so I force those guys to verbalize it with confidence. Even if they make a mistake or they don't answer it correctly, I want you to be confident in your answer. You can't be confident in the meeting room with 7 other guys and a coach, then you're not going to be able to do it in that read confidently when we're playing against 100,000, when we go to USC or whatever. And so those are things that I think I've seen that take guys' games to another level instantly and just make them more confident in their assignments. And then the last piece of it is just the environment overall as far as the setting. And so I don't know if you can see this. Does this diagram show it, or is it blurry?
You can see it, Coach. It's a little blurry, but
Okay.
I kind of skim over a little bit.
I figured. So here, right here, is I got the screen right here. This is the screen that project, that we project the film off of. And I have desks here on the sides, and then I'm in the middle. Okay. This is how I have my meeting room set up at BYU. At Rice, I was here, and then there were rows of tables sitting as they were looking at me. So the key to all of that, the reason why this is important to me is because I think this is an accountable setting an environment that I'm setting for my guys. I want to be able to see their eyes whenever I ask a question. With all those things I talked about at the beginning, I don't want to be looking at their back while they're answering it to me. I want them to look me in my eye and say, hey, coach, I read the nose on that play. And it's something to it, I think, is just holding the guys more accountable and just creating an atmosphere. All right, I don't know if I'm going to be called on right now, but more so than that, it just tells me how confident they are when I'm asking a question. I like to see that. And I think just the old way of the coach being behind everybody, looking at everybody back of their head, I just think that promotes guys sitting back in their chair, kind of drifting off and this and that. It just really holds those guys accountable. And the other thing I like about it as a running backs coach, I always like to have a good amount of space in the middle, or where at least where everybody can see, because how we might put in a new run scheme or a different footwork, and I want to be able to just real quick, not waste a lot of time, be able to kind of demonstrate type of footwork I want to use on that, or just a little. I might say, hey, stand up. We want to get our hands inside on pass pro or something like that. So everybody, that we don't always have the luxury of that. But the key thing in those more so having space is just being able to see their eyes. I believe that that's something I've seen also added to this as far as making guys learn, forcing them to become learners and to be comfortable with learning and be comfortable with verbalizing their assignments on a daily basis. Okay. And then here, this is probably the last thing I'll show you that's a little bit unique is my film study notes that I use on a daily basis when we come. We have the luxury of watching film at our level with our guys every single day. And so going back to the S and RBs and the standards, this is the way that you push the culture and continue to double down on the standards that you have. So the key things for me as a running backs coach, number one, run game is your trap, or some coaches might call it your aiming point. To me, you can be a marginal running back if you're just where you're supposed to be, making a read that you're going to at least get us with the plays drawn up to get. I can live with that as a coach. We got to recruit better, or we got to do different things, to help the talent gap. But me just being in this situation, we have some good running backs in Arizona, but I haven't recruited any of these guys. So how do we get the most out of them? To me, it's double down on fundamentals, details that are going to at the very least, get them to where they need to be for us to have a productive play. And so I grade them on every run that they have in practice. And then finish. The finish is kind of an umbrella, but I'll kind of give you the basic criteria from finish. And as far as practice, if we don't have the ball in our hand, we're always doing something productive. And so if the quarterback is doing an RPO and he didn't give it to us, I want us carrying it out. I always tell them, make it look real. I want you grabbing the jersey, making it look like we have the ball in our hands, carrying out, take a couple of defenders with you. So that's the criteria on that. If the ball's thrown away from us, I want us to be working towards the ball. Okay, so we might run a swing to the boundary and they do the field. Obviously, we're not going to there in practice. I want to see us working. I don't want to see us with our hands looking or running back to the huddle. Mentality that I try to preach. The other thing is we might be in a slot and they threw it, through the dig route. I want to see us working upfield and trying to get in between the man that we're blocking and the ball carrier. So that's the criteria with us out with the ball not in our hand. In practice, the criteria with the ball in our hand is if we have it, I want us bursting through. I want us 5 yards after contact every single time bursting. And then really the only way you can get a minus with the ball in your hand in practice is if you fall on the ground, or if you run right down the middle of a defender. Because to me, you want success in the game. And so I'm pretty stringent on those things. Most of the time, I kind of grade them really harshly in practice, just so that I can double down on the culture that I'm trying to set. We play balls to the wall and we play disciplined football. If we do those things, then we're gonna have a chance no matter what. And obviously, if you put the ball down on the ground, it's gonna be a minus as well. Then on the side right here, we got notes that I'll have for just depending. Like this first play, we ran a wide zone to the right. He got a minus on the track and a minus on the finish. I said, hey, too tight in your track, you got to get out to the 4 out. So those are just quick little nuggets that could help him. Now, in the next play, we were in the inside zone, and he got a plus on the track, plus on the finish. Hey, great job getting your shoulder square and pressing the heels. And so I'm utilizing the opportunity, and I'm not only giving them negative feedback, sometimes it's positive. And it's a case-by-case basis. Like, Sam, you can be pretty harsh on him. You know what I mean? He's a kid where you can give him as much coaching as you want, and he's not gonna feel, man, coach is attacking him. He'll get mad if you don't give him a no. But other guys, maybe Matt down here, I'm gonna be careful how I verbalize things or the value of verbalization that I'm giving him as far as feedback. Okay, so those are just some ways that I double down on my culture. And then the last part of this is they're always gonna have grades. Total accumulation of all their grades throughout practice. Okay, so they're gonna have a track grade and a finish grade, and then I'll have a thing that I felt like they took a step forward or just did a great job in practice with, and then something that they need to work to clean up. And so here, the reason why there's a handful of reasons why I really like grading these guys daily. The number one a question a lot of coaches ask me all the time is, how do you handle like your playing time with your running backs? And this is, to me, it's not 100% foolproof, but this is a good tool for those guys to see. I don't just give them their own individual grade. I want them to see everybody's grade. So if I'm Matt Halley, I had a 78% all week, and Stewart had 100% on his tracks. Now when coaches, he's not picking me for, to get in on the run play, when the game's on the line, and same thing, if you have 62 with your finish, you're sloppy all week. You're not hustling to the ball. You're not doing the little things, but then my anti-sign here is at 92%. It kind of is self-explanatory. This guy earned the right by the way he practiced, the consistency of the way he's practiced, not just this week, but accumulation of all of these that they get on a day-to-day basis. And so I think it alleviates, some of those issues that you get at the time. And then I like the positive and the positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement, just so that, because I give these guys this while we're watching film, and then we go out to practice after that. And I think it's just a good tool for these guys to be able to say, all right, hey, coach said I did a good job on my tracks. I mean, keep it up. But he also said I need to focus on covering the ball with two hands in traffic. All right, I'm gonna really focus on that, and I'm gonna get better at that. So that's kind of just some tools that I've used on a day-to-day basis. I have time to do it that I know some coaches, especially at the high school level, may not have. But just the meeting room structure and this resource that I give these guys, man, I've seen it just develop these guys in a quicker manner than they would, if you were doing it some other way where you're not giving them a lot of feedback daily and you're just kind of waiting for these guys to come along. And some guys, it takes them a little more time, but I've seen it accelerate the growth of younger players or underdeveloped players who we needed to play for us right now, because of injuries or whatnot. So that's I'll pull up some film here real quick. Do we do questions in between, or we wait till the end?
We're just going to wait to the end, Coach. Like you said, get that last 15 minutes, and then we'll open it up.
Okay, cool. All right. Sounds good. So, make sure. All right, cool. So, ball security, let me get my prop. I didn't have a football, so I brought my son's first football. He's 1 year old. So, I'm going to be able to do ball security with this little, my first football. But so this is another question that I get from a lot of running back coaches when they ask me how I coach ball security. Can you see like my arm completely on this? Can you see me? All right. So I'm gonna
yeah, we can see you, Coach. Yeah, we can see you. You're good. Yeah, you're good.
I thought I lost signal or something. Okay. So just real quick, how I coach security, just in general, just taking the ball from the quarterback and we got ball in the hand. All right. So I like the split finger so that when the guy hits us on the contact, we don't have. I think it's just a safety issue more so than even a security issue. I think the grip is tighter when you the claw that I know some people use, but I say split finger. But I think it's also, if you get hit right on that nut, man, it's gonna hurt. Maybe you put the ball on the ground, but you might end up breaking your finger right there. So I believe in split finger. Same thing everybody else talks about, high and tight. That's 100% across the board. I heard the term scrape your jersey numbers off with the football. Love that. Okay, all that I agree with. It's going to be universal. The coaching point that I think that I emphasize a little bit more outside of that is tucking the elbow. And the reason why is because I see a lot of guys, when you say keep it high and tight, they'll be here, okay? And yeah, if somebody's coming from behind, it's going to be hard for them to punch the ball out, okay? But the thing that I see a lot of players, defensive players do these days is they're doing this punch deal. And so there is space there for, if they were to punch it, the ball can come out. And so that's why I really emphasize tucking the elbow. So I'm running with my elbows tucked. Now, I can't punch it from behind, my elbow's tucked. Now, if I do punch down on it, the ball is going right back into my framework. I'm my elbow. It's just they're working right back in. So I just believe in that coaching point. It's tucking the elbow. The other reason I like it is because it's very it's a universal way for me to understand on the field and be able to give them direct feedback as far as if they have the ball tucked tighter. And what I mean is that I'm sitting behind. You can see me in practice, and if I can see football here, that tells me that they don't have a high tight, that elbow's not tucked. I always tell them that's the criteria when we're watching butt copy in practice in film room, or if we're just all standing behind in practice. If we can see there's something you do to have better ball security on that play. And so those are the two reasons I really believe in that. For one, just the inability for them to punch it out, but for two, it's just easy to reinforce right now without something bad happening or seeing a perfect angle on film to see the flaws in their ball security. I just think it's an easier way for me to kind of diagnose it without them actually putting the ball on the ground to be able to to see that we need to get this cleaned up. And so that's that. Now, as far as drills, let me grab this, get my prop back real quick. Okay, so the other question I get is how do you get your guys to protect the football in traffic? Okay, and I used to I did a study about 3 or 4 years ago on Ezekiel Elliott, and to me, he always gets yards after contact, and he doesn't really put the football on the ground. And the way I used to coach, I used to tell him get two hands over the football, and that's good. They protected the football, but what to me, when you just put two hands over it, promotes getting your eyes down. And so now, the ball ain't go on the ground. You didn't give yourself a chance to maneuver through traffic and get yards after contact. And so that's what made I actually call it the drill that I'm gonna show you, the Zeke drill, because of that. We're really focusing on getting skinny. I'm gonna always tell them at BYU, I said I want you to grab the wrist. Now, I had to put my pride out when I got to Arizona because Coach Taylor Mazzoni, he had a coaching point for it. He said, grab the watch, which I love, grab the watch. That's a great point. I think it resonates. It pops a little bit more. And so I had to put my pride aside and say, you know what, that point is better than we're going to call it watch. And so we're grabbing the watch. Okay, that promotes keeping my eyes up. And then the other thing that I love is that, if I cover it with two, look how wider my surface area is for them to tackle. Okay, it's going to be hard for me to be aerodynamic through tight spaces. The thing that I like about grabbing the wrist is now I'm skinnier. My shoulders are skinny. Now I can pinball off things. I got a chance to, I might not, spin out there and keep going, but I can fall forward and get a couple extra yards. And so that's what I preach as far as two hands in traffic. And here's a couple drills that you're going to see that I use to reinforce those coaching points on a day-to-day basis. Okay. Here we go. So Zeke drill. Okay, it's a fairly easy drill. Most of my drill work, almost all of my drill work, I'm not trying to kill you guys with just, putting this thing 10 yards away and, having to do a bunch of running. I think running backs they appreciate that. Sometimes I'll throw that nugget in just so they can appreciate. I can make sure they appreciate it. Say, hey, look, we're not doing a lot of running, but we're trying to be productive. We're staging, we're simulating right when you get in inevitable contact. And so that about 3 to 4 yards from us, we're just holding the hand shields. And I always tell them about that 1 to 2 yard radius of inevitable contact. Then that's when you want to get skinny and you want to have good pad level. And once again, the reason why I like it is because it's promoting keeping your eyes up. The other reason I like actually being the one to hold the bag is because I want to see their eyes from a defensive standpoint. And so I think that's important too, because you'll see a lot of times they'll duck their head. I want to be able to get that flaw out of their game before we get to a team setting, and especially before we get to a live game. And so we're reinforcing it, not a lot of running, still bursting through the opposite cone, but I'm able to see their eyes, and I think it's just a productive opportunity to stage a simulation of what it's going to look like. Okay, so there it is there. Still keeping our elbow tucked, all those other coaching points, but we're just working on protecting it in traffic. Okay, and then last one here. See, they're starting to grab it right as they get into contact. I don't want you covering it with 2 from 5 yards away. Now we're slowing ourselves down. By the time we get to contact, our feet are going to be dead. I still want you running at power right before you get to that contact. Not too late. I don't want you waiting until right at the point of attack to cover with 2. We might not even get our second hand on there. But let's just prepare ourselves right before we get contact, about right there where he's at, and then now we got the chance to fall forward. Okay, I'll show you here some film of why I believe in this coaching point as far as covering it with 2. Okay, so you'll see here, right there on contact, not too soon, but right there, covering it with 2, and now he's still, getting 2 involved. He's protecting it, and that the reason why I like this is not just protecting the football for our team, but the way he's finishing. He's got 7, 8 yards after contact right there. So I think you're getting the best of both worlds with that coaching point. Okay, here's another one. Okay, right there, losing his balance, covering it with 2. Okay, and then he doesn't spit out the other side, but he's falling forward. He's getting 4 yards after contact. Okay, because his eyes are up. He's got great pad level, and then he's protecting the football. So once again, the best of both worlds on that. Okay, here's another one. He's getting skinny. Okay, and I put this one on here more so to just show how much more aerodynamic are in tight spaces by having your shoulders. Look how tight his shoulders are. You can't see the football. He's tight. He's aerodynamic. He's falling forward. He's getting us 3, 4 yards after contact. Okay, look, we'll watch this one from this angle here. Okay, once again, just getting skinny. Got the ball covered with 2, and his eyes are up the whole time. That's why he's moving a pile right there. His eyes are up. Okay, and so the old way I taught it, he's covering with 2, and his shoulders are going to be this wide, just trying to cover the ball with 2 like that. And so that's why I think it promotes skinny on contact, and it's going to at least give us a chance to fall forward and get yards after contact. Okay, so that is how I preach just in traffic ball security. I know some coaches, I was just talking to a coach the other day that coaches, at some areas of the field we want to cover with 2 like this, and in certain areas we want to do, get skinny like that. I believe that you can have success doing both, but to me, I just want to keep one universal language, and I think because I think you can have success no matter what with just that one way to teach ball security. So I always try to eliminate the coaching points as much as possible for those guys, as long as we can still get away with not having extra coaching points. So that's why I believe in just that way as far as teaching 2 in traffic. Okay, here's a drill that I like to use. So they know the standard as far as tucking the elbow and this and that, as far as just day to day when we have a ball in our hands. This is a drill that not only works and focuses on keeping that elbow tight, but it reinforces good ball security in situations where we're not able to get that second involved. Not necessarily that, that it doesn't call for 2-handed because we're not necessarily traffic, but we got a defender directly on the ball side, so we got to protect the football. And so here's a drill I like to do. Once again, you see it's not too, we're not doing too much running, okay, but I like this drill because it forces them, it teaches them a little bit of balance, but it also forces them to really tuck that ball high and tight whenever, you're on ball defender right there. So what they're going to do, they're just going to get here and the ball's in your left hand, you're going to hop off your right foot, give me 2 hops, and then burst at the end. So you'll see just as we go through 2 hops, they're really focusing. We're punching at it right there, just reinforcing, keeping that elbow tucked. We still want to have great yards after the contact. We still want to fall forward, but not at the expense of not protecting the football. And so as you see here too, as it goes through, I like to use these satin ball covers when I do drill work with the running backs. It's really tough, especially when they start sweating, to really keep that thing high and tight and tucked to the body. And so that's something I like to utilize, kind of a tool. I think they're pretty cheap. You could probably make them, I would imagine, but it's just something good to reinforce it and just make it a little more tough for them. So here's the situations where I'm talking about where the ball, it's not necessarily 2 in traffic situation. The on-ball defender. So he does a good job making this guy miss. Okay, I would be okay with him getting 2 on it, but he's kind of off the side of control. We got an on-ball defender there. He does a good job tucking the elbow, keeping it high and tight. And that the drill, once again, is promoting having balance as you're, protecting the football. And so I feel like it paid off, with that exact grip right there, the on-ball defender and him still fighting and getting yards out of contact. Here's another one right here. Okay, so usually here's another coaching point that people ask me, hey, do you care what hand the running back has the ball in? I 100% do care. The reason why he has the ball in the right hand here is because the ball is designed to go to the right. Just so happened to spit out the backside on here. So I'm okay with it. I don't want them changing their traffic, but in the perfect world, let's just say we were running to the left here. I would want the ball on the left so that we can utilize like our inside hand to fend off defenders and also to protect ourselves from direct, inline helmet on the football right there. And so here's a situation where, it just happened where we spit out the backside. He had the ball in the correct hand, for the scenario. But then here, right there, we got an on-ball defender. Not the time to switch the ball. Okay, we got to have it high and tight. We got to rip it, and we still want to get yards out of contact. And he got success on that. Okay, here's another right here. Another example. Okay, so we're here. That guy rips at the ball now. Comes off a block, rips at the ball. Okay, would like him to tuck it a little bit more after. He does a good job right there. If you see right there, he squeezes it and rolls the ball across his chest. That's what I'm looking for. Then I would like him to get that thing tight again. You probably feel like he's in an open field. As long as they're in an open field, I don't overcoach it until it becomes a problem, until it becomes something I can see being an issue. And so I try not to overcoach the open field ball security as much, as long as they're in an open area where it's, there's no conflict. And here's another one. Just once again, just on ball. It's not a two-handed traffic situation, but we still got to be conscious of ball security. Here's one right here. That guy comes off the block. We're using our inside hand. Here's another kind of emphasizing why I believe in keeping the ball in the hand that the side we're going to, so that we can use that offhand that's from the direct impact come from the inside, the flow from the inside of the defense. We can rip through that same foot, same shoulder. And at the end of the day, we just don't have a helmet directly on the football right here. That's the most important thing. But once again, I think, like I said, can't fall on the film, and that's why I think that drill is so important. Okay, here's one more. Okay, once again, if I could see the ball on the film, your ball security should be better. I don't see it on film. He does a good job. Would like him to get better pad level on here, but he does a pretty good job putting his shoulders down and then going fighting forward and getting some yards at the contact. Okay, so lastly, before we get into some questions, I want to talk another concept. I know you guys probably say near foot, near shoulder. I don't even know why I started calling it the same foot, same shoulder. I just start calling that, but it's all in the same. And this is something I really preached at BYU last year more than any year. We had some injuries with our top guys, and so we were playing with younger guys as developed guys that maybe weren't as talented, but they were some group guys that would do whatever. And so I really wanted to focus on having a physical mindset in our room. I thought that was what was going to. They're guys that are just going to get what the play drew up to get. So they're 4 or 5 yard running back. But how can we get these guys to become a 7 or 8 yard running back? And having this mentality, focusing on same foot, same shoulder, being physical and contact, I thought that's kind of ways that we play with a little bit more edge, and we got more out of our run game with less talented guys. And so same foot, same shoulder. We're focusing right here, physicality on contact, most pad level, not running down the middle of a defender. I'll show you what I mean by that here in a second. And just once again, emphasize a physical mindset in the run game. So here's a drill that I like to do where we stage it here, where they're picking, like they got guys converging on them, we're not just going to try to split this guy every single time, but we're definitely not just going to run right down the middle of somebody. We want to kind of pick a side, let this guy try to, grab our hip or fall on top at the end. But we definitely don't want to make it easy where they're just converging, picking us up and slamming us down. And so we're finding them. Our foot and our shoulder should hit that guy at the same time, okay, to get physical presence, take the power from our heels through him, and have an opportunity to fall forward at the very least, if not get yards at the contact. So you'll see that here. Okay, here's a good example right here. Right there, same foot down, shoulder down at the same time, match his pad level. Okay, and now we're still running. Then same thing right here at the end of the run. He got there a little too quick, and he was tripped up. But that's what I'm talking about. Okay, never run right down the middle. So you see how he's on the. I always tell you guys to pick a side. I never want you to run directly down the middle. That's the easiest tackle for a defender to make. You got to pick a side, same foot, same shoulder, and expect to break that tackle and get vertical after that. Okay. Here's another one. Okay, right here. We didn't get a lot of yards on the run. It's physical presence. Okay. I love just seeing guys finish the run like that. They got us on this. Not a great play versus defense. We didn't block it well out there. Okay, we still had a physical presence. That was the first down. And those type of things accumulate a game to give us a chance to just have a physical presence and at some point over dominate those guys when they don't want to match that intensity. Okay, here's another one right here. Same foot, same shoulder. That's the reason why he had success on this play. You see it from the butt copy right here. Okay, once again, he didn't run right down the middle of the guy. He's picking a side, and now we got a chance. If we pick a side, we'll always have a chance. Would like for his pass to be a little bit lower on this. That would help. But he's going same foot, same shoulder. He's picking a side, and he didn't need to do much in that scenario right there on the 1 yard line. Okay, see here how he's finishing this run. That's what I mean by picking a guy and not just allowing both these guys to converge on us. He picks a guy and he's falling forward for two, but once again, that doesn't feel good when that guy falls back and he may be concussed on that. But it's just a physical mindset in the run game that I think that's necessary. This guy's going to probably get drafted, hopefully get drafted. He'll be playing in the NFL next year. But even him playing with that edge, I think it sparks the team for one, and it just sets a tone and a standard. Like, hey, if you're willing to play 4 quarters of football like this, let's do it. Okay, once again, just really focusing on it, just kind of simulate a live situation, picking a side, and just being really physical, putting a foot in the ground. Okay, I'll show this last one right here, maybe a couple more. You'll see this one, how he moved pile at the end. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Okay, the contact's made, and now we're moving a pile, and now we just got 7-8 yards after contact on that play. Okay, let's look at it from the butt copy. Okay, great job. Once again, not running down the middle of a guy, picking a side, and then that foot and that shoulder hit at the same time. Our pad level beat his pad level on that. And now we're able to ride that thing, get some help from our O-line, and we got 8 yards of contact. I'll end on this one. This is hilarious. I wanted to edit this out because it was just kind of embarrassing for my manager here. I didn't know if I would get in trouble for it either. But he freaking just barreled over this guy right here in this film, and it's so crazy. I kept it on here because he does the exact same thing again, and so that's why I had to keep it on here. But right there, the same exact thing, same foot, same shoulder on contact. Expect to make a miss, and then we go ahead and success getting downfield. And so, I believe in those things. Once again, kind of some auxiliary drills, auxiliary coaching points to just help us as RAS coaches. But the common theme in all of that drill work and all those coaching points is we're trying to get as many positive yards out of a play as we possibly can. How can we do that? how can I make a universal coaching point that carries over not just into the ball security realm, but ball security and the vertical mindset of a running back and the physical presence of trying to let's get as many yards at the contact as we can. And so that's why I think those drills are and those coaching points are all encompassing things that cover different bases that are just going to help you things that you verbalize to your guys, but be able to double down and have visual feedback for these guys as to what it's supposed to look like and what it's not. And so those are the reasons why I believe in all those coaching points. So we have about 15 minutes. You can ask anything you want, things that we talked about on this, things that I didn't get to. I might have film on it. I might be able to pull it up real quick and show you. But I want to give some time, for some Q&A stuff as well.
Appreciate you, Coach. Like Coach said, if you guys got questions, man, there's a little option to raise your hand, and then that way you can ask away, and then unmute you, and get some knowledge, because that's what we're trying to do this thing. All right, Danny, you're up, brother.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Coach. So, Coach Stewart, when you were at BYU, you guys ran a little bit of double wing on the goal line. And I'm a small school coach here in Arizona, and that's something we run basically exclusively. Whose idea behind, who was behind that? And what are your thoughts on that as far as a goal line offense goes?
I love it, man. I honestly, for 2 years straight when I was there, I proposed, because I was in charge of doing short yardage goal line. That was part of my breakdown with our OC, Coach Grimes. And I just said, man, let's really use that in those situations, because it's just so much, you can do it versus any look, you know what I mean? And it's just easier to me than trying to scheme up the perfect plays to fit, each defense. On the goal line, and then you have to rep it against all the different looks, the bear fronts, 6-2 front, all these crazy things that you don't work in your normal offense. To me, I love it. I actually talked to Coach Mazzoni when I got here about it. We were watching our USC game against him last year, and I believe wholeheartedly in it. I mean, I would love to have that as just my short yardage and goal line offense, and just. I thought we could have done a few more wrinkles off of it. Our special teams coordinator actually ran it at BYU. And so the one thing I'll say is it did take an investment. We invested probably 3 minutes every single day of the week as a team on it. But, I mean, it won us the Boise State game last year. We ran it on the last play to take a knee on the 4th down. And then we had success against, I believe, USC. I want to say we scored on it, and then we also scored against Western Michigan in the bowl game 1 year on it. And so I believe in it. I really do. I'm still really unsure on how to coach every single look on it, but I know pretty much the gist of it from my standpoint. But I love it. I do.
That's awesome, Coach. I appreciate it. I know a lot of us double wing guys. We were thrilled to see you guys running in, and you did score against USC with that, and it's a great offense. I know that obviously we run it in high school, but I love the fact that you guys had utilized that in short yard situations, because it definitely has its benefits, and not something you see a lot of. So I'm sure DCs were a little confused by you guys throwing that at them. So that's awesome.
For sure.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Any other questions right now? Actually, Coach, I'm going to throw some at you just in regards to recruiting. And I know there's a bunch of high school coaches on here as well, and coaches from across the country. For you personally, what's one thing that stands out, or, one or two things that you think stand out on film when you're watching potential recruits as a running backs coach?
For me, I like to I'm not a guy whose size really matters to, but in a general sense, if the smaller you are, the more explosive I want to see you are, that you are on film. Like, I want to see you just tearing it up. You guys miss, burning past the defense, and nobody's even close by the time you get to the end zone. That's like, if you're smaller, I want to see that. If you're bigger, I still want to see explosion, but you don't necessarily have to, have the type of feet that a smaller guy would need to have, or the type of detachment from the defense that I see, displacement from the defense that I see in smaller guys. So it's kind of, honestly, I mean, I've watched thousands of running back films. And the good thing about running back is kind of like when you see it, you know it. There's a few guys that you have to go see in person just to size them up, to see, all right, he's kind of that in the middle. Like, he's not the biggest guy, he's not the smallest guy, he's not taking off on the defense. So those middle area guys are, the ones that can be tough. But I mean, if you were to just watch the top, even not even the top 10, the number 10 through 20 best running backs in the country, you'll know that they're, it's easy to see. I can't. It's just an eyeball test that running backs have. And then when you get really down to making a decision on a guy, and then that's when you want to go into these. All right, what pros and cons of his game? Like, does he struggle in tight spaces, making a guy miss? How is his vision? How is he when he gets to contact? Can he catch? Can he return? Those different things that set you apart, as well as the game changing ability, but also the program changing character, that we talked about at the beginning as well. And so those are the things, like, when you have a good list of 4 or 5 guys and they're all interested, those are things that you really got to break down and, weigh the pros and cons to each guy as far as, putting your board together. But in a general sense, as the running backs, when you're a Power 5 coach, where I am now, it's kind of, you know it when you see it. Now when I was at Rice, it was a little harder because some of it was projection. Like, number 33 on that film that played for me at BYU, I recruited him. He played for me at Rice and grad transferred to BYU to play for me. He was a project, straight project out of high school. The big guy, he's about 6'1", 220 coming out of high school, but he could flat out burn, ran like a 10.8 in high school, at that size, which was incredible. But he was very limited, as far as his exposure as a running back. He only played 1 year, and so I kind of had to project, and it ended up paying off. He became a pretty good player. But overall, that's kind of my mindset as a coach. They should pop out at the screen at as I'm at Arizona, at BYU and Rice. There was a few more determining factors that I had to weigh before saying yes or no on a kid.
All right, cool. And then one more thing, actually, just now as I'm chewing on it, going in between, outside zone and pin and pull, I'm thinking about the tailback's track, and tell me what you prefer more. Obviously, you can go lateral step, kind of crossover, aiming points, outside leg of the tackle, whatever, ghost tight end, however you coach it. Or, there's that, what I call inside foot pivot, and then kind of just that highway footwork where you're getting lateral. Which one do you prefer?
When we're in a gun, I prefer stepped. I use the term, I want you to step to the quarterback, but the biggest thing to me is I like to teach the quarterback to step off the midline so that we can just stay flat and get those linebackers running. What I don't is they step down and they're already working at that angle initially, and now the linebackers are just meeting them at that angle. And so I always tell them, step on the quarterback's toes in the gun, meaning I want you to stay flat down the line initially to the mesh so that the linebackers don't feel comfortable and get downhill and fitting it up right now, that they still think we may be trying to circle the field, completely, like hash on our sidelines with our first couple steps. And so to me, that's very important, especially when you're reading the backside guy too, because now that's just creating more space for that guy to have to give you more clarity as far as your read. So I've done that before. We were reading the backside DN as well. And so I like that because I feel like more so than anything, it just, for the comfort level of the linebackers, it puts them more in a bind when you're not just getting straight downhill to your aiming point initially. And then when we're in a pistol, I believe in scissors footwork. It's pretty much what you see any NFL team doing the Y zone, just opening, just turning with their feet and then just directly on their aiming point. And as far as aiming point, it's always butt of the tight end to a 3-man surface, butt of the ghost tight end and a 2-man surface.
All right, cool. All right, we got Coach Daryl, you're up.
Hey, can you hear me, Coach?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. One of the questions I have is, are you able to coach running backs on how to better their field vision when they're running the ball?
To me, that's a hard thing to coach.
Very hard, yes.
I would say not necessarily their field vision, but getting their eyes where they need to as far as their read in order to make the right play. And so I'm huge on making the primary and secondary read, whatever it may be. Like getting to it, I give them quick coaching points, foolproof coaching that are going to get them directly to where they need to get. And so we really work that a lot. Preach that meeting structure. That's why I like them. That's another reason why I like them to verbalize the coaching points, so that I know that they understand what the read is and all the things that go along with the run play. And then a coaching point that I use a lot that I don't think a lot of coaches use is press the vertical seam. And that's kind of, I always say to running backs, that's a get out of jail free card as a running back. If we're running, let's just say we're running pin and pull, right? That linebacker just comes. We're thinking we're about to get ready to, circle the field. That linebacker comes out of nowhere, steals it right now. We really don't have a lot. It took us kind of off of where we thought the play was going to go. Okay, don't freak out and bounce it and try to circle the field. And now we got to score. Let's look for the first vertical opportunity. And so I always tell them the first vertical seam is basically a clean hole or a clean gap where you see a blocker attached to the defender. We can, scrape off their back in order to get skinny and at the very least get back to the line of scrimmage, if not get more yards. So that's not really teaching them vision, but that's teaching them how to still have production in the run game when chaos happens in football.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, any other questions for Coach before we kind of wrap things up here? All right, Coach. I think we're good. I don't see any more questions coming in. Let me see. Hold on. I think I got one more. All right, Coach, you're up. Coach DG.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Yep.
Okay. Here, let's get one. Coach Rios.
Say it again. I can barely hear. I'm sorry. Yeah. What'd you say? Uh-huh. What can you tell me exactly what he said? I can't hear exactly what.
I think the aiming point, right? You talking about the aiming point, Coach Rios?
Okay, cool. Yeah. So when we're running tight zone here, I'll just pull up a quick clip so it'll be easy for me to teach that one. See if I can get a clean picture. All right, here we go. So tight zone, okay. Our initial alignment, this can vary depending on where you are, but I like having a wider alignment. So either outside foot on the inside foot of the tackle or split the inside leg of the tackle. I like both of those as far as our alignment. I like toes on the quarterback's heels. Okay, so in this last year we ran tight zone. Our aiming point was the near leg of the center. Okay, whenever we go against an odd front, we're going to read the head up nose. If we're going against an even front, we're going to read the first thing to our side past the center to our side. And so I'll show you a 4-down look here in a second. But so that's it. Our aiming point is the near leg of the center, and we're reading this nose right here. And so we'll see, okay, on the snap, that nose goes away. So we want to stay on our track until something takes us off. And so if they were able to reach it or, get this guy dug out, the ball in a perfect world, this play, we want this thing to hit right down the hash mark. Okay, so he's on his track. You see that a guy shows up. And so this is from the last coaching point when you said about vision, this is what I mean by vertical seam. Okay, so we want to read our initial read to the first vertical seam. Okay, now the first vertical seam is when we see an opportunity to get north off the butt of a block is essentially what I mean by that term. The reason why that's so important, I see a lot of guys before we really coach this up, they bend this thing back and make this tackle easy for them, or they try to shove it up in here and this guy makes the tackle for a no gain or a 1 yard gain. And so he does a good job of hugging this thing tight to force. I always tell him the reason why you do that, you want to force an arm tackle at the very most. This guy should only have an arm tackle on. So he does that. This is my favorite. This is probably one of my favorite runs of my coaching career, 4-yard run, because he got the most shot that he could potentially get out of this play by doing those coaching points, hugging it tight, staying vertical, even those other things that we talked about as far as getting skinny on contact. That's why I think it's important. He stayed on his track until something took him off, pressed the heels. Those are coaching points. And the biggest coaching point to make when you're running tight zone, in my opinion, or any type of inside zone, is you got to have your shoulders square at the mesh. Okay, the reason why is you don't want to disqualify yourself from the cutback. And so right there, he didn't disqualify himself from the cutback because he was square right here. He had the whole world in front of him. If his shoulders were turned, he may be able to bend it back, but it's going to take him another step to get there, or he may not. He may take himself away from it by not even having it in the vision. And so that's why that's important. So here we're running against even front. Okay, so now we're reading the first thing past the center. Okay, will be this shade here. Okay, this kind of a funky look. Okay, we want to stay on our track until something takes us off. He does a great job. He trusts it. Okay, and then once again, we want to hug the first. So we want to read that to the first vertical seam. He does that. Watch how tight he hugs that block. Okay, and then into those other secondary coaching points that we talked about previously with the same foot, same shoulder, Zeke on contact, 2 hands on contact. He got to that point, but the biggest thing he did right here, once again, his shoulders are square. He can, if he needed to, he can get all the way back there to, backside B gap if he absolutely needed to. But everything is downhill. We're pressing the heels until something takes us off our track. He hugs the block tight. That's a secondary coaching point, so that we can create space between us and the next guy that can make the tackle. So he does that, hugs it tight, doesn't run right down the middle of him, protects it, keeps his eyes up. That's why he made the clinic tape. He'll be on the clinic tape for tight zone until somebody takes the crown. Those 2 runs are great runs. Just they're very detailed, and that's what we look for, and that's how I coach it. Yes, sir.
All right. Last one, I think. Coach Lindsay, you're up, man.
Hey, Coach, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
What's your take on cutting and pass protection, and what's your teaching point?
Good. So cutting and pass protection overall, the only time I like my guys to cut is only on quick game. That's it. That's the only time I want you to ever cut. The 2 reasons I like cutting in general in that situation is it's a more opportunity for us to be physical on a block in a situation that we're normally we don't want to be. We're not going to be as physical as the guy that we're blocking. Most of the time we're cutting a DN or a linebacker in a quick game protection. And so we're not going to be as physical if we're standing up as a running back. They're going to win the battle 9 times out of 10 as far as the tough man battle, so to speak. And so this opportunity for us to have a physical presence in the game, in the blocking game, but also gives us a chance to keep their hands down out of the passing lanes. And really the most important aspect of it is, we want to throw a slant, to that guy that's coming off the edge. I want to get his hands down at the very least, but I also want to get that guy on the ground. This opportunity for us to, put somebody on the ground as a running back, and I like that. I don't like it against drop back pass or with drop back pass, because I feel like, especially versus an A gap, that's where I see it the most. Like guys, they think that's the best way to block an A gap defender. That guy's gonna flip over, roll over, and be right in the lap of the quarterback. And so yeah, he didn't necessarily make the sack, but psychologically he's in the lap of the quarterback. I play quarterback, so I know how that feels. I'm off of my progression now, and now I'm just going into trying to make sure my ACL doesn't get torn. And so I don't believe in cutting for that reason, as far as just not keeping the integrity of the pocket. But also the other thing I don't like is that it gives that guy a chance. If the quarterback doesn't get the ball out right now, he's got a chance to recover, get up, and then still go chase the quarterback down or get back involved in the pass rush and force the quarterback out of his comfort zone. So that's why I don't believe in it in any other situation other than quick game. But that's the reason. Some coaches, they either just let them cut whenever, or they don't let them cut at all. I think it's important to utilize in quick game just for those reasons. And so, does that answer your question?
Yeah. Appreciate it, Coach. All right, Jim.
All right, guys. Hey, this is Coach Camarillo with MFCN. Coach Stewart, thank you very much. I appreciate you. A lot of good stuff there. I know a lot of guys got a lot of good stuff out of it. I also want to thank Coach Sumlin, for allowing half his staff to come on here and spend most of their day with us. And it's an investment in high school football and an investment in Arizona football, and gotta love that. So really appreciate Coach Sumlin and his staff for helping us put this together. And also Coach Ball up at NAU, having Coach Pflugrad join us. He had a lot of good things for us, and it just really speaks volumes of coaches at another level, above high school football, wanting to come down and spend their time and talk some ball with us, guys like us, and pick up some things from other coaches. To remind everybody, we've had a number of clinics this week. We've had well over 300 sign-ins of coaches signing in this week for these clinics. So, what we're trying to do, connecting guys and talking ball, is, it's working. So hats off to you guys. I'm proud of you guys for investing your time. I know there's probably guys that spent hours here today, which is really, really cool. We have these clinics throughout the month of April, every Tuesday and every Thursday. We go at 7:30 in the morning, take a break during the day, and then we come back at 4:30 in the afternoon. We've got speakers from all over the country lined up. We've got, I think, another 26 guys or something that's coming on over the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned. I'm going to send out the Zoom link about 24 hours before the meetings, right? So you'll have a chance to plan your day and register and all that kind of good stuff. I think it's working really well. I'm really happy everybody's enjoyed these things. And again, thanks, Coach Stewart. I appreciate you. And you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Take care of each other. Stay safe, and use this time wisely. All right. I appreciate everybody. We'll talk soon. See you next week. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You got it.